Testing. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Developing Dad podcast. Let me go live on Instagram. All right, we are live on all platforms. I'm going to talk about this shooting, and it's a Q&A smoke show. So if you have any questions, come in with them. I'm calling it a smoke show because I will be taking questions. All right. Interesting questions, not just any old question. We're going to answer questions in the form of super chats. They will get priority. Members and moderators will get priority as well. Longtime subscribers will get priority as well. But we're going to start talking about the Minneapolis shooting because I think that's where everyone's minds are and have been. So symptom of a larger problem. Let's listen into the video.
Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you. With that, the investigation is obviously in its preliminary stages, and I will attempt to take some questions to provide further information.
Chief, what can you tell us about the suspect in this case? How old was he? Any kind of motivation? Any notes or any other information that were left behind?
So we were looking, the question was, what can be said about the shooter? We believe it is one suspect, a sole shooter. We believe he is deceased. He is in his early 20s, does not have an extensive known criminal history, and we are looking through information left behind to try and determine some type of motive. Yeah.
How many kids at the school?
How many children? I don't have an exact, the question was how many children at the school. There were dozens of children inside the mass at the time. I don't have an exact count. The children have been relocated into the school, which is where their families are reunifying with them. Reg.
All right, so this was the football game. Yes, this is so sad. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. So there's the information that was known at the time. Obviously, this was on the 27th. We're on the 30th now. Some more information has come out about the shooter, about the victims. One of the victims' fathers has spoken out and discussed their family's process of healing now that they've lost their 8-year-old son. There is so much to unpack with the identity of the shooter being revealed to be a transgender male who had his name changed in 2019, I believe, from Robert to Robin Westman, a mother who affirmed all of the wicked views of the left and sent this young man down this evil path, right? So We've had so many, right? So yeah, the truth, right? So sad. So Israel, Israel must fall, burn Israel. There's so many things that he wrote on the magazines about his hatred for Trump, about his hatred for Christianity, about his hatred for pretty much, I mean, his manifesto. He's very sick. Exactly, Jesser. Yes, a very sick individual. And so what people have been trying to wrestle with, right? Some accurately so and some less accurately so, is the role that his gender confusion played in his decision to commit these atrocities, right? So, he sees, where's your God? F everything that you stand for, suck on this, right? What is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah. And this is, all of the evidence points to the fact that his gender confusion played a prominent role in his decision to shoot up a Catholic church. And it was specifically a Catholic church that he decided to shoot. A Catholic school. Sorry. And so we've got to wrestle with the idea that Christianity is the religion that he decided to attack. Why? Because they, or we, don't accept transgenderism. Right. The school, and exactly the school that he went to. Right. I was coming to that point. Right. But he wasn't accepted by the community or the school that he went to. They didn't affirm his gender transition, his new identity, his name change, everything that his mother told him was good and right and acceptable and normal, the Catholic Church could not accept. Right? Based on doctrine, based on history, based on the Bible, they could not accept it. Right? And so instead of living out his truth in peace, he decides to opt for violence. And so the reason why we push back against this gender confusion, gender identity, LGBTQ plus agenda is because it affirms the very thing that God says is the most dangerous, a reprobate mind. Now, this is the mother, right? Mary Grace Westman worked at the Catholic school, awarded her service. She petitioned the court to change Robert's gender when he was 17 and is not cooperating with police. What's going on, Travis Berry? Hold on one second. Let me see. I gotta pull up Travis Berry's comment. What's going on, Travis C. Berry? Tell the family I said hello. All right. Why did we as a culture do away with involuntary mental committals? That's a good question. This person should have been committed a long time ago. Absolutely. Now, unfortunately, because he was a minor when the transition happened, unless Minnesota laws are different, 17, I don't know for certain. But there's a great meme let me pull this up here. There's a great meme with Andy and Opie. And Opie says, I need to pull it up. Let me see if I have it in my memes folder. Hold on one second. I gotta pull it up. It's better. Memes are better shown than explained. But where are we in our culture when we affirm, when we affirm that which is most harmful for people physically and emotionally and mentally and spiritually? Right? Dad, I think I'm a girl. Well, you're not. Thanks, Dad. Simple discussion. You're not an airplane. You're not a cat. You're not a dolphin. You're not a girl. You're a boy. Right? Go back to the old days of kindergarten cops. Boys have penis. Girls have a vagina. Simple. Kindergarten. People knew that. It wasn't that long ago. Right? You're absolutely right, Tom. We've got to unite. There's been a lot of infighting, and infighting has been something that has been a hallmark, unfortunately, of the Christian community. The infighting has allowed the left to continue to encroach upon rights and the bedrock principles of America, which were founded upon Christian ethics. We need to galvanize and remove this cancer before it's too late. Someone mentioned here, he said white liberal women are actually an actual menace to society. We've got some big problems in America. Very big problems. Whether it be illegal immigration, ghetto black culture, white liberal women. All of these things are conspiring to erode American foundations, the foundations of what make America America. Right? Why wasn't the mom committed? And look, this is going to be an interesting thing. I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna be very controversial, but it really isn't. All right, this is absolutely insane. Yeah. Okay. What's my phone number? You think people just give out their phone number online? They're giving you my phone number? What? That would be insane. So, I'm going to say something. America needs to become more Christian, and it needs to recapture its roots. And if that means we need to decrease the number of brown people, whether they be illegal immigrants, right? You actually do have it, right? How much is it worth, though? Right? And I have not changed it. It's the same number that you have. Let me see if I still have yours. Hold on one second. I do believe I still have it. Hold on. Yep, I still do. Is it the same one? Right? All right. So, he doesn't have... Thank you. My brother. Keep it. All right. Now, America needs to be a Christian nation. Simple as that. Right? Simple as that. If you want to be an American, you need to speak English. That should be rule number one. You should have a stake in America remaining American. What do I mean by that? If you go to Japan and you try to change Japanese culture from within, subvert and usurp Japanese culture, you're going to have problems. The same, you need to go to Japan and respect Japanese traditions. You need to go to Russia. If you're an immigrant, you're going to accept Russian traditions. Why is it that they're not going to change Russia to suit you? Why are we changing America to suit non-Americans? Right? I don't understand why every other nation can have their traditions, demand that you respect them if you're going to be in their land, and if you want citizenship, if you want to be an immigrant, you have to respect their traditions. Oh no, guys. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. I'm not going to Victorian lover. I appreciate that, but I don't eject people. I rarely ever ban them. It's fine. Let them keep going. Okay. They can do whatever they want, right? In the comments, I've got certain words blocked out, but as long as they don't spam the chat, and if necessary, I'll time him out, but I won't block him. I might time him out, and if there's a moderator in here that wants to time him out, and you're more than welcome. Okay. Now, yeah. Now you've got some bad arguments being made, like here, like karma fishes, right? If the forefathers wanted to have the 10 Commandments, they would have put them in the Constitution. No, they wouldn't have. There's already a law. They didn't need to codify something that was already codified. That's not a good argument. And the federal government isn't in the business of creating laws for what it shouldn't have been. Everything that was spelled out in the Constitution was specifically for the federal government to handle, and then anything not spelled out was for the states. So the states decide penalties for theft, penalties for perjury, whatever, right? And again, we can have that discussion, but yeah, we absolutely want God in government. Because the secularists they've created the government in their own image over for the past, maybe 100 years almost. So, yeah, we want a Christian nation. I vote that way. I bring my biblical convictions to the voting booth. Every Christian should do that. And if you are an atheist, you do that. So, yeah. I'm going to continue. Nobody's I'm not forcing you into anything. But I believe that Christ is Lord, and that a government should reflect that reality, because Psalm 2 says that all the nations are his. So Psalm 2 says all the nations are his. I want our nation to reflect that reality. Simple as that, right? Well, that's fine. Look, if yes, okay, guys, okay, that's fine. If you believe we're forcing you, okay, we're going to keep. We'll just do this. We'll keep having children as Christians. We'll keep trying to change the culture from the ground up, and keep voting the way we want. And you all who seem to hate the Christian foundation and all the freedoms that it's given you, you do the same. You keep having kids and have them vote that way, vote the way that you want them to vote, and we'll see who wins out in the end. Okay? That's it. So we're not I'm not going to pretend like you all are neutral. You're God haters. I'm not going to pretend like you're neutral, like your position is the default. You've done enough damage to this country already with this radical left agenda. You're trying to bankrupt us. You're trying to create moral degenerates at breakneck speed by allowing everything. Our way is better. Yours is trash. The results are in. Blessed is a nation whose God is the Lord. Everything that the Bible says would happen when people reject God is happening in the United States of America, and you all are calling it good. Woe to those who call good evil and evil good. Isaiah 5:20. You're calling it a good thing to murder babies. You're calling it a good thing for people to be mentally ill and cut off genitalia of children. You're calling it a good thing for men to be in women's bathrooms. We don't want that. You're calling it a good thing that we had a virtually a corpse leading the country who couldn't put two sentences together without fumbling all over the place. You call all of these things good while the country is spiraling out of control. Christianity is the most horrible. Christianity is like, oh, whatever. Keep raging against a God you don't believe in. There you go. You waste your time God doesn't exist and I hate him. All right, guys, if you say so. I don't waste my time on Zeus forums disagreeing with those who believe in Greek gods. Don't care. You guys spend all your time worried about a God you say doesn't exist. Even people with sense. Your former what is that? Your former atheist leader, Richard Dawkins, even says that he would much rather live in a Christian country than a non-Christian Even one. People with sense. Sorry. Let me mute this tab. Again, you can keep it up if you want. I mean, that's really, Christianity's better. It just is. It's the only religion that accurately and sufficiently answers the questions of origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. So, yeah. I don't know. Here's it. Ryan Ford, that's a great question. Impossible. That's impossible. Why do I say that's impossible? Because at some point you're going to men are going to worship something. We're beings that were created for worship. If we don't worship God, we're going to replace it with something else. People worship the state. People worship the government. The government is now supposed to provide everyone's needs, right? Make it so that we don't have any needs or wants. You're going to worship humans. You're going to replace God with something, which will be your ultimate standard for worship. Now, here's the problem. Here's the second problem with that. Virtually every other nation on the face of the planet, virtually, I didn't say every, but virtually every other nation on the face of the planet bows to some god. Muslims bow to Allah. Israel, Talmud. India, official religion. China's officially, I believe, atheist, right? But the vast majority of them look at us and view us as a Christian nation. All right. Muslims, when they highlight the failures of the United States, always point to the fact that you're supposed to be majority Christian. Why can't you get your people in line? Because they believe Christianity is weak. Now, the neutered version of Christianity that many Americans have accepted is weak because, again, we have adopted a feminized, soft version of Christianity that doesn't even in the churches call people to live holy and righteous lives. You can be in the pews, sitting in the pews as a known fornicator, as a known adulterer, unrepentant, and never be challenged by it. Quite often this happens. And so if at the ground, and let's look at it this way. There are three spheres. Actually four, but we're going to talk about three. Three levels, right? Or four levels. We're going to talk about self. You have to discipline yourself. If you have a family, there's a family that needs discipline, right? Then it rolls up to the church, and then it rolls up to the government. Now, these are all just groups of people. One, singular, you, master yourself. Then your family, which is a smaller unit, needs discipline. Now, if you never discipline your children and you have children who are running around and you're just, oh, they need freedom of expression, like this lady, right? Like this lady. Oh, baby, I'm going to give you everything you desire. Oh, you want to be a girl? Okay, baby. Okay. Permissive parenting leads to permissive churches, which leads to permissive governments. Everything starts in the family. Everything. And so women like this, who are permissive parents, who allow their children to talk back to them and to, oh, we need to allow our children to tell us when, oh, where's that? Oh, there was a, who was this woman? Hold on. It's perfect example. Hold on one second. And this is a smoke show, so we're just kind of going with it. All right. But I'm still answering Ryan's question, right? How about a non-religious country? But we can see. Let's see. But thank you to everybody that's tuning in. I appreciate you all. And then thank you to everybody that's liking the video. Look at this. All right. This I posted it. Yes, here it is. All right. Perfect. Listen to this. Listen to this nonsense. And obviously it's coming from Minnesota, which is one of the most obtuse and morally degenerate states in the union. But listen to this nonsense. Yeah.
Because let's be clear, this is life-affirming and life-saving healthcare. When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them. That's what it means to be a good parent.
Oh boy, this woman, right? So
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
That's her. All right. This is what the Bible says. All right. About what she just said. See what it says is bound up in the heart of a child? You see that word? Foolishness, folly. That's what's bound up in the heart of a child. Daddy. What is it? Daddy? I think I'm a girl. It's the grown-up's job not to believe them. No. Because that child is a fool. They don't know. They don't understand the ramifications of the idiocy that they're spouting. They don't understand the far-reaching implications of what a Robert Westman. Let's look at this. Okay, so we're talking about this because it's right here in this. So Robert said, I want to be a girl. Mom says, yes, baby, go ahead. Not realizing that folly is bound up in the heart of a child. All right. Folly, thank you to everybody that's subscribing. We got 100 already. Thank you. I appreciate that. Westman regretted transitioning and wrote, I know I am not a woman. I wish I never brainwashed myself. Folly was bound up in his heart. Foolishness. The parent's job, the mother's job would have been to say, no, we're not doing this. You will regret this. There are countless things that, right, Rick's boy. Dad, I think I'm a dinosaur. All right. Well, let's cut your arms off at the elbow, right, and then glue on some claws. You're a T-Rex. Is that what we do? Is that what we do? Well, according to this Miranda Devine, that's what we do. Well, no, not Miranda Devine. What's his lady name? Minnesota's lieutenant governor. That's what we do. We believe the child, right? Oh. No. That's not what we do. That's dumb. But she would have us believe that that's the right thing to do. And so now 2 children, 3, I think at this point, 3 have lost their lives because this woman didn't have the courage to tell her son, no, you're not a girl. She probably didn't do a good job of saying no many times before you got to this point. There are so many times where I have to tell my children, no, that's not going to be good for you. So we're going to take another path. Oh, you don't want to mow the lawn? Oh, you don't want to pick something, whatever it is. If it's something, oh, you don't want to make your bed. No, you're going to make your bed every day. When the kid, guess what? When they first start off, I don't want to brush my teeth. I know you don't, but you also don't want gingivitis and tooth decay and everything that comes along with not brushing your teeth. The best thing that a child can hear quite often is no. Practice it. It's one of the best things you can do for your child is tell them no. Oh, I want to be on the iPad. No. No, that's going to rot your brain. You're going to become a zombie. Oh, I want to play video games for 7 hours a day. No. I only want to eat Cheetos and ice cream. I don't want to eat vegetables. I don't want to eat good food. No. No. Every decision that a child makes coming from womb to almost 18 should be questioned. Probably even after that. But once they make 18 legally, it's on them. But no, you don't know what's best for you. God made me, your parent, made me wiser and larger so that I can direct you into the right path so that you don't turn into a Robin Westman. I don't want to see my children fall prey to this godless, atheistic, secular humanist, whatever you want to call it, worldview that does nothing but churn out confused, evil, wicked, self-absorbed people that want more and more and more given to them, who don't want to stand on their own 2 feet and create and build anything and compete. I tell people all the time, I'm right now, I'm competing. There are probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of other people live streaming right now. There are football games going on. There are other things happening right now, and I'm competing for your gaze. I know that when I set this camera up, that I'm competing for your gaze. I'm competing for your entertainment. I'm competing for your time and attention. I know that going in. I know that I need to make this entertaining for you, informative, whatever. I'm willing to compete. And I'm not complaining, saying, oh, well, I can't compete because I don't have dollars behind me and I don't have this. No. I got my computer. I have Ecamm. I have I'm going to put this out here and hopefully people want to. And it's working because I've over doubled my subscribers within the past month. But we need to start pushing. And again, people are pushing back on it, but we voted for Trump for a specific reason, right? We need to make sure that the parameters are there so that we, the people, can change the culture. Right? Yes. That's it. I mean, he said he was sick of it. So much regret happens when these people transition because they realize they're being fed a bowl full of lies. You can't change into a woman from a man to a woman. Well, thank you, Joseph. Thank you. You can't change from a man to a woman. You can't. It's impossible. You will when someone digs you up in 1,000 years, guess what? And they take a DNA sample. Whatever you were born as, that's what they're going to see. Right? You're not going to change your gender. And these people realize that. And they have regret. And then some of them try to detransition. Some of them realize that they can't if they've gone too far. But you can't undo God's created order. You can't. Right? You can't. They're not making any transition, right? Yes, gender is sex. I don't accept these newfangled, like, you guys try to change the definition of terms constantly. When less than 2 generations ago, gender and sex were equivalent. And if I can impart to you anything, those of you who are on the conservative side, Christians specifically, don't let them change the definitions. He who defines wins. in an argument, if you let them change the definition of marriage, of gender, of racism, whatever term it is, they change the definition, they win. Every time. You let Israel say, oh, it was a tragic accident. It was a tragic mishap. When it looks like they're purposefully trying to get rid of journalists. Oh, it's a tragic mishap. Tragic mishap? What? It's always, it's like the 9th tragic mishap in the past month. Like, how many of them? How many are you going to have? Right. That's what they do, Darth Creep. That's what they just call your names, right? They're the most tolerant group, right? That's why whenever you don't agree with them, they call your names or they try to shoot you. That's it, right? That's it. Yeah, that's right. See? Thank you, David Sailors. Is it Sailors? Right, you said yes. Sailors. 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 Yeah, there you go. Now, so unfortunately, we have this situation going on. And why is it always centered? Have we been, well, it's obviously always Chicago but Minneapolis and Minnesota. It's a lot of, they're ground zero for a lot of this stuff. The George Floyd, the Summer of Love, the Kyle Rittenhouse. They tried to send that young man to jail for life for defending himself. We've got this shooting happening here. It's thing after thing. The Omar Fate situation. Thing after this place is a cesspool. I don't know. Right? Isn't Shiloh from that place too? Shiloh Hendricks. That's another thing that happened there. They're trying to bring up charges for disorderly conduct. What was disorderly about what she did? Let me ask. I'm asking the question. What was disorderly about Shiloh's? Right? Yeah. Thank you to everybody in the chat. If you're in here, like the video. Appreciate you. Right? Yeah, I mean, do I agree with what Shiloh did, calling the child an N-word? No. Would I have done it? No. But when does calling someone the N-word deserve charges? Because if that's the case, you know how many black people about to get charges? We about to get charges. We about to get charged up. My goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Man. And again, so there's so many things about. Now that's a good question. How do we stop these monsters from killing kids? That's a multi-layered question, obviously. We need. So there's a spiritual issue going on, right? There's a spiritual issue going on. Our country has been chasing what many would call the God of this world for generations now. Christians have been pushed further and further to the margins in the public square. Many don't want to stand up. Many have believed the lie that our religion is only for private practice and it does not have any place in public society or the government, which is an absolute lie. So once people believe that lie, keep your religion out of the ballot box. Well, that gave the secularists and the unbelievers the upper hand, right? Because you have a majority of the black church. Let's use the black church as an example. Black people are conservative, mostly anti-LGBTQ, mostly anti-abortion. For generations, we were very conservative socially. But we voted Democrat for over 60 years. Why? Because we believed the lie that our Bible doesn't belong in the ballot box. So we can divorce our social conservatism or our biblical convictions from what we believe are social programs and government social programs that actually aid our community. And so there's a cognitive dissonance. There is a hypocrisy that exists. There's this tension that exists. And so we say, how do we stop these monsters from killing kids? Well, one, you've got to retrain people to believe that Christ is Lord in every area of life. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And so we change the narrative. Eating and drinking, the most mundane things. Voting falls underneath the all. Okay? Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. See this? Look at this. Look at this. That's his. That's racist! That's racist. Why are you racist? Why are you racist like that? Right? Reported my channel for hate. Why are you racist like that? You hate black people. I know. I know. He hates black people. That's it. Such a racist. Right? Look, you know what's insane? You know what's insane? All he has to do, if he doesn't want to hear this, swipe up. It's easy. Nobody's holding him here. No, I know. Right. Exactly. Nobody's making him stay here. I don't have a tether where I'm yanking him back whenever he goes. He can't help himself. It's the hate watching. That's what they think of. They gotta, I hate him. I hate him. Now, so that's step one. We've got to retrain people to take back the country for godliness and be unapologetic about it. I make no apologies that I want Christ to be the center of this nation, that I want no foreign places of no worship of other gods to happen on this soil. I make no apologies for it. Now, am I going to go out and start getting rid of mosque on my own? No. That's not how we do things. But we can pressure our politicians and say, hey, look, this country was founded upon Christian principles. We need to get back to those. We need to take steps to make that happen. That's essentially what the Christian nationalist position is. I make no apologies about the fact that I believe Christ is Lord and I want him to be the documented, codified Lord of the United States of America. Sue me. Don't care. It doesn't. The secularists are saying they don't want God. They're saying it openly, that they don't believe that Christianity has a place in the government. They're spreading lies that America was created to be a secular nation. They're spreading the lies that we need to re-educate, reaffirm, and then recapture the government for Jesus. Simple as that. I'm fine with that. They're fine with the opposite. Why? Because if so let me tell you something. Christians, listen to me. Christians, listen to me. Okay. The leftists and secularists don't create. They are parasites. They will take your children and turn them into leftists. They won't have children of their own. They will delete their children, but they will indoctrinate your children in the public school system to be leftists. And they've done that for generations now. That's why when what was it? 80% of Christian children were falling away from the faith after their first year of college. Well, they weren't falling away because of the first year of college. They were falling away because they had been indoctrinated into liberal, Marxist, socialist ideology for 18 years before that. They were only holding on to it because their parents were Christian and they were like, well, okay, I don't want to buck the trend too much. Well, now they're getting to the point where they buck the trend. So it was 80%. And we're wondering why. Oh, well, we can't youth group them and Sunday school them into the kingdom. No, because you have 168 hours a week. If they spend thousands upon thousands of seat hours in a liberal indoctrination camp called the public schools, and then spend maybe 100 over 18 hours in Sunday school, what do you think is going to win out? What do you think is going to win out? The indoctrination and thousands of seat hours of public school, or the 500 hours of Sunday school? Now, they will take the leftists are going to take that family. They're going to take your government. They're going to take everything. They're going to subvert, and they're going to siphon off everything. The NBA, the NFL, built through conservative Christian principles. YMCA started organized sports. Guess who's now taking it and trying to turn it in? They're using all of the traditions. Why do you think they keep remaking old films and pouring in all the leftist ideology? Why do you think they destroyed Star Wars? Why do you think they're trying to destroy Harry Potter? They take the symbols and everything else that was created true, beautiful, and good, built up through conservative principles, traditional values, and the like. These people begin to love it. Oh, let's take that thing and destroy it. That's what they do. So if you just stop them from doing that, you say, you can't have my children. I will homeschool. I will send my children to a classical Christian school. I won't allow them to be indoctrinated by public schools. I won't delete my progeny. I will wait to have children until I'm married so that I can build something substantive, so that my wife and I can have a shared vision of what we want for our children, so that we're not in debt. I'm not going to get into an untold sums of debt trying to pursue a liberal arts degree. Well, I won't say liberal arts, because a liberal arts degree is not bad, but some foolish degree that doesn't afford me any skills that will allow me to be productive in the workplace. Yes, Lily, yes. I love what y'all are doing over there. Woo, I've been posting about it on my X. I love to see it. I love to see it. Because we need to see people fighting back. I want you all to win. I want you all to push out the anti-England sentiment, y'all are being overrun by Islam. I want y'all to push it out. I want y'all to win. Do it. I'm posting it on I'm following you guys with interest, right? I am following you. Look at that. I'm waiting. There's another one. Where is it? No, that's something else. Where's the other one? Where did I post? Yes, right. Said breaking. Protests have erupted across multiple locations in Britain. A revolution is inevitable. I'm like, do it. Hopefully we can see what you all do and recognize the path that you all went down and avoid it. So we're not having to revolt. Yeah. England belongs to the English. Why is that? That should go without saying, right? Russia belongs to the Russians. China belongs to the Chinese. Why is it wrong for any white country? That's my question. Why is it wrong for any white country to say our country belongs to us? Why? I read that quote. Yeah. I read that quote. Somebody got in trouble on Tucker's show about that, saying that, right? Recently. Get in trouble. You're getting in trouble. You're going to get in trouble. You say that right or wrong. Oh, man. Oh, boy. I have no problem with the United States being majority white. I know, shocker, right? Oh, boy. But I do have a problem with an influx of millions of people who don't share American values being thrust upon us. And then as Americans, we're supposed to just say, well, no, it's multiculturalism. It's good. No, these people are not trying to assimilate to American culture. They're not the best and brightest. Why does America need to be the asylum for the world? Why do we need to take in everybody else's asylum seekers? And people will say, well, because you're Christian and you're supposed to, what? I hope I shared it. Where did I hope I shared it. Oh, I hope I shared it. Where is it? Where is it? I need to find it. I forget the man who said it, but it was brilliant. It may be on Instagram. But essentially, I'll just say this. He said it. The best way for us to help the peoples of the world is to help them where they live. If we're going to help them, let them stay where they are and we help them there. Because he had a brilliant illustration. Let me find it. I gotta find it. I have to find it. He essentially said that we can't make a dent in the world by taking in immigrant after immigrant after immigrant after immigrant, because we'll never catch up to the problem. Never. It's impossible for us to do so. Where is it? I should have shared it on my page. All right. Nope. That's not it. I shared it with my wife, I think. I'm trying to find it. I think I shared it with my wife. No, I didn't. I shared it somewhere. I shared too much stuff. I need to. I don't know where I shared it. Yeah. But essentially, the idea is we need to help them where they are. You cannot import the third world. You cannot import everyone else's problems and then expect to fix them. You can't do it. We're incapable. We don't have what it takes. No country has what it takes. We need to help them there. Where is it? I've got to find that. If I don't, I'll do it on tomorrow's episode if I don't. That's not it. Look at old Donald. Yes, right. That's funny. I shared this too. Right. This is the one we got. We got the one to the right. Don't get me started on that. Yeah. Who will pick the cotton? Right? I said that the other day. Democrats in 18, right? 25. Who will pick the cotton? Democrats in 2025. Who will pick the strawberries? Right? See, Walter says something like this. Now, how do you all think we should react to that? Because it's obvious nonsense, right? It wouldn't be anything like that. Right? But these are the lies that they purport, and then they say, oh, this is, and then it shuts down conversation. You're supposed to just accept it as law that Christian nationalism will be like Taliban Sharia. Poland is smart with immigration. Let's look at what are the particulars of Poland's immigration policy. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, we've got. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking at the comments right now. All right. You're going to ask for. She's going to ask for asylum from Poland, to Poland. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So do you realize that? We're going to do a little education. All right. So you all say that America was not a Christian nation. Why would every state, all 48 states in 1950 prohibited sodomy in some form? Why? If we were a secular nation, what would be the point of that if we didn't have Christian undertones? Because that's I mean, I can read some quotes from state constitutions. I do it on almost every episode now because people just spout the nonsense that that Christianity was not a part of the founding of this nation. Right? 48 states. The first state to repeal it was Illinois in 1961. Right? Exactly. Yeah, we didn't put our right. We didn't put our hands on a book by Kant or right? Or Marx. We didn't. Put your hand on the Bible. Tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you who? Oh. So help you evolution. That's what it was. Random chance. And oh, goodness. Right. I mean, but all 48 states had it. All 48. Based on the Bible. But it is what it is, right? I mean, we could keep pointing out the reality, but they're not going to believe anyway. They just believe what they want to believe, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know many do. Many Christians accept a lot of nonsense. I don't go with ad populum just because a bunch of people accept it. I accept it. I don't. Yeah. All right. Exactly. Exactly. Then they always go to speciation, right? And it's like, oh, goodness. Yeah. All right. But unfortunately, the reality behind the reality behind so much of what I really wish I could find that post. I have to remember where I found it. It was a great. Oh man, I shared it somewhere, y'all, and I just I'm horrible about that. If I don't immediately remember, right? Yeah, exactly. Natural law, all. And when you get deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole and reading more and more, you recognize that we've been indoctrinated to believe so many lies because people uncritically accept what others say without challenging them. And because we have a lot of historical ignorance in the Christian church, we don't understand how things got to where they are, right? How the Magna Carta and all of these other things, like how all of that, the governmental structure of the the Boule and the from Greek. I'm blanking on the terms, right? But all of that stuff just compounded over years and years, and people refining these ideas so that when we get to the 1700s, we see America taking those ideas, reading those writers, understanding the Bible, understanding Christianity, making a system that they thought was, it was pretty good. It wasn't foolproof, obviously, but they put in the mechanisms to eventually change certain things that they wanted to be changed, right? They realized that if they tried to bring the southern states into this union and abolish slavery, they would have lost the southern states, and then there goes any opportunity to defeat the British, et cetera, et cetera. So there's so much nuance and so much detail that people have lost. And now we have this idea where it's like, 1619 project and America's original sin is racism. Slavery, et cetera. And it's just because people don't want to read, and they don't want to, they want to be entertained, right? They don't want to think. They don't want to read books, right? You see, books. They don't want to read books. Yeah. And I'm doing Daniel says it's been heavily edited, right? We hear this all the time. This is so easy to find. Total Greek manuscripts, 5,800 plus, papyrus, unicles, minuscules, lectionaries, base for comparison. Total variants, 30,000 to 50,000. Most of them are spelling or orthographic variants, 70 to 80%. Word order variants, Synonym or minor word change, 5%. Meaningful but not viable, less than 5%. Meaning and viable, less than 1%. A few dozen. You can even ask Bart Ehrman, noted skeptic, but Bible Is it how you spell his name? Yes. I forget which book it's from. What's that? Yes, here it is. So this is a skeptic. He says right here, in spite of the fact that we don't have the originals, in spite of the fact that there are so many places of variation, scholars have been able to reconstruct the text of the New Testament with reasonable, though not complete accuracy. To be sure, there are some passages where scholars will never know what the original author said, but those are relatively few in number. The more significant issue is that we cannot claim to have exactly what the authors wrote, but what we do have is, by and large, pretty close. This is a skeptic who studied the textual variants. I mean, that was his field of study. He's an agnostic. I mean, people say that there's been, what is it, I don't know. Y'all have to prove it. Prove it then. Prove it. You're saying it. You prove it. You prove it. You just can't say it. You've got to prove it. Whew. Oh boy. Prove it. Right. Yeah, that's not true at all. But okay. Yeah. Paul wrote his letters within 30 years of the life of Jesus. And he wrote the majority of the New Testament. So, I mean, you guys, you can say these things. Yeah. It's just a lie, right? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how y'all just make up stuff and then expect us to believe you on. Yeah. Right. You can say whatever you want, right? Yeah. Anyway, so now we're going to talk more about this. We got responses. I guess we can keep talking about the shooting, or we can move on to something else. There were a couple of other things I wanted to talk about. Yeah. No, can't you ask? Ask and then put it in the chat. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I know Dan Wallace is one of the scholars. I know Gary Habermas is one of the leading scholars on the resurrection. Mike Licona. A lot of people have done really good work. I've read some of their books. I've read articles. I've studied this years and years and years ago. Yeah. So yeah. And the Bible was not written 100 years after Jesus. You got to stop that. You're a liar, man. Stop it. Stop. How would are you really that dense? How would Paul, you must really be dense. How would Paul, who was a contemporary of Jesus, begin his writings about 80 years after he died? So you're telling me Paul, who was beheaded in Rome in the 60s, wrote after his beheading he wrote his book after he was beheaded. All right, guys. Not a single one. This is crazy. Like, this is only, strongly disputed authorship many days later. These are the least conservative, because Second Peter couldn't have been written by Peter because in 110 because Peter was dead. Are you serious? Man, you said some dense stuff on here before, but this is pretty stupid. I just gotta say. These are the books of the New Testament. What are you guys talking about? I don't even understand. I guess I don't understand what you guys are talking about. You just, yeah, I'm not, and then right, Edwin, those dates are late, right? And these are the latest dates. These are some of the most, right? These are some of the most liberal dates. I just pulled this up. And none of these are 100 years after Jesus. The only one close is 2 Peter. What are you guys even talking about? I don't even get it. I don't even understand. They're so off, right? They're so off. Right? Yeah. These guys, look at them in the chat. Know the difference between the gospel of Jesus and the Bible. There are 4 gospel accounts right here. I don't even understand what these guys are talking about. They're slow, I guess, but whatever. They said written. Bible being written means that the books that were, I don't know. You might be right, Daniel. I don't know. Need to get out more often though. Yeah. It's crazy that he keeps saying that, but I didn't even say that. I'm talking about these letters. I said Pauline letters. Paul didn't write a gospel. What are you talking? My goodness. Okay, guys, that's fine. I don't even understand what y'all are talking about at this point. Y'all are just, all right. Yep. All right. Well, you guys go ahead, exist in your bubble. It doesn't matter to me one way or another. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I read the whole Bible every year. Have since Have since what? 2012? Yeah. Every year since 2012 I've read it all the way. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's insane. That's an insane, wild range. But again, it's a lot of liberal scholars who don't believe, right? So they're looking at things and they're trying to discount that these could actually have been eyewitnesses of Jesus, that these people wrote. They're looking at the difference in writing style from First Peter to Second Peter, and they're saying that First Peter has a more elegant writing style, whereas Second Peter has a style that would be more in line with an uneducated fisherman. And so they're making the claim that they couldn't have been written by the same author, so you had to have one being written well afterwards, probably someone trying to use Peter's name to gain notoriety for his letter. But again, they discount the fact that these people they would dictate and someone else would write it in their style. They discount all of these things, that you would have someone, like even Paul says it in I Tertius in the book of Romans. Paul says at the beginning that this is his letter. He's writing it to him. And then at the end of the book, it says, I Tertius, who wrote this letter. So Tertius is the one who actually physically penned the letter for Paul. Right. So you would have someone do that. Again, it's just, once you know the historical realities behind how letters were written in the first century and how the Bible doesn't violate those common normal practices. I mean, I don't know. You don't have to really deal with the control deletes or the Daniel Pierces or whoever else. They just let them talk. Yeah, let them talk. Yeah, so let them talk. I mean, I don't. There are people more scholarly than both them or me who've done the research on this, and they come to different conclusions. You just choose who you're gonna believe. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yep. Right. And yeah. And see, he's making an obtuse point. Like this is where you get people try to prove how intelligent they are by isolating one term and making this weird argument outside of the question, because I never made that point. We talked about the New Testament being compiled. The Bible did not come with Jesus. It was the gospel. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah, he said the Bible and the gospel are not the same thing. Who says that they are? I never once said the gospel. This is an argument you're making with yourself. I never once said the gospel. I said the New Testament. You can go back and listen to it if you want. But you're proving how foolish you are. I never made that argument. You're having that argument with your own mind. Yeah. I never once said the gospel. I said the New Testament, which when the last New Testament book was completed, that completed what we know as the Bible. Now, it may have been compiled later on as, these are these 63 books, or 66 books. I would think it's 66 and 73. 66 books and the canons that people put together. But the books themselves were written, I believe, by 70 AD. So, yeah. The books were written by all of them were written prior to 70 AD. And so you have the close of the canon, because the last book was written, and that closed the prophetic revelation from the Holy Spirit by through men, because that was also the end date for the covenant with Israel. Right? I already told you, go back and listen. You're never going to hear me once say the gospel. You're the fool that keeps making that argument. I told you. I never said that. I said the New Testament. Get the Tootsie Roll out of your ear. See, again, he's having this argument with himself. Yeah, he's having this argument with himself. I'll let him keep having it. You can have it, bro. There you go. Yeah, you can have it. Just have it with yourself. End of the covenant. Yes. Yes, God divorces Israel. Yes, he divorces Israel for their unfaithfulness and for the murder of his son. That is what happens. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he mentions it. Covenantal language. Right? Covenantal language. He said he would put them away. And he did. And he did. I'm not a futurist, so we're not going to get into I'm not. Yeah, the futurism is a dead end. Yeah. I am a preterist, so I believe that God fulfilled his promises. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you all can say that, but he did. Right? You can say it, but he did. That was the destruction of the temple. I mean, if you look at all the language of the Old Testament books, prophetic books, in Hosea, Isaiah, God talks about putting them away. And he does it. Finally and fully. It's in Deuteronomy that he would do it if they continue to disobey. Yeah. Yeah, and since he promised, right, he promised that if they would continue to disobey, that he would put them away. And he fulfilled that promise. Yeah. Yeah, multiple times. Right. See, we agree on this. Kicked out of Israel by God himself multiple times. And the last time was the last time in 70 AD. They're not coming back. This group of people are not even the true heirs or the true descendants of David. Yeah. Right? No, it doesn't. Let's look at it. We'll have a little fun tonight. We talked a little bit. Let's see. This is a Q&A smoke show, so that's why I'm responding to comments more than I normally do. No, this sounds like 70 AD. Yeah. Blessings for obedience. Curses for disobedience, right? Whew. And all these curses shall come over you, and right? Curse shall be in the city, in the field, your basket, your kneading bowl, fruit of your womb, the fruit of your ground, increase of your herds, young of your flock. Cursed when you come out, when you come in and go out, right? Actually, covenantally, yes, it is. You should read and understand what it means in the context. Yeah. Yep. They broke the covenant. Right. And God is well within his right, since they broke the covenant, to divorce the harlot Israel. He calls them that multiple times in the scriptures. Right? Yeah. Yeah. That'd be interesting. I'd love to know what they believe. Yeah. It'd be interesting to find out. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So we're going back now. What did you say? Yeah. The last 2,000 years of history. All right. Pursue you, perish. Right. The heavens shall. Yeah. Make it rain on your land. Powder. Cause you to be defeated before your enemies. Go out one way. Flee 7 ways. Right. It's a very, very. Let's see. Bring you and your king. He did this to them in, was it 586 or 46? I forget. 46, I think. Not the numbers. I remember it was 727 when Israel. Yeah. I mean, he's basically saying he's going to bring down all of this. Now, all of this happened to them in the 7 years leading up to 70 AD. Right? They were put on ships and brought back to Egypt. No one would buy them. All of this stuff happened in 70 AD. Besiege your towns and your high fortified walls. So all of this stuff happened. You shall eat the fruit of your womb. Josephus describes this, that they were eating their children during the siege. Right? Whom the Lord has given you in the siege and in the distress, which your enemies shall distress you. Titus, 70 AD. Right? All of these things. You can read a preterist commentary. Read Josephus. Right? Just read it. Flavius Josephus's The Wars. Not a Christian. Not a Christian. Just. Keep that book there for when this inevitably comes up, because it comes up a lot on the podcast. Extraordinary afflictions are going to come up. Right? Will take delight in bringing ruin upon you and destroying you. And you shall be plucked off the land that you are in entering to take possession of it. Scatter you among the peoples, from the end of one end of the earth to the other. No resting place for the sole of your foot. Sounds like what happened after 70 AD. Bring you back to ships to Egypt, in ships to Egypt, a journey that I promise you should never make again. And there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. Josephus talks about this. No, the book of Revelation is 70 AD. My guy. John calls himself a partner in the tribulation. What? Is John still alive? Is John still alive? Revelation 1:9, I, John, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ. Revelation is essentially the play-by-play of Matthew 24, 23 and 24. Matthew 23 and 24. What do you say, 2:9? And 3:9, let's read it. And see where your futurist presuppositions are misinterpreting the text. 2:9. Okay, what do you say? I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, yes, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. All right, what's 3:9? Yeah, because that was the message to the church, the message to Smyrna. All right, so are you in Smyrna? 3:9. Here we go. The message to Philadelphia. Let's remember context. Behold, I will make them a synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Yes, that was to Philadelphia. Yes, to the Jews in that place. Yeah, okay. Great. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Why does that matter? Who are the Hebrews and where are they now? We have Jesus. We don't. Why does that matter? Why does the flesh matter? Is that what? Why does that matter? Is the flesh going to be the reason why people are saved? I don't know. Maybe. So one of the most pernicious things about, let me do this. We're gonna do this little soapbox. I'm gonna do this. So one of the things that this godless ideology of futurism brings about, in this idea that things are going to get worse before they get better, is that it makes Christians, or gives an excuse for Christians to abdicate their responsibility to disciple the nations. Because when Christ when he ascended, right? You are my son, today I've begotten you. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage, and the ends of the earth your possessions. You shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them in pieces with a potter's vessel, like a potter's vessel. This, footnote B, right, is eerily reminiscent. It's almost a quote quoted in Revelation, right? Yeah, Revelation 19. From his mouth, I'm just talking about Jesus, comes a sharp sword with which to strike down the nations. And the nations, again, there's nations again. And he will rule them with a rod of iron. He will tread the winepress of the fury of the wrath of God Almighty. Okay? You shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them to the pieces. So that rod of iron, who's the ruler? The Son. It says it right here. The Son. You are my son, today I've begotten you, and I will make the nations your heritage. So, yes, that's what you said. Yes, the day, yes, that day was in the past. That day was in the past. Yeah. 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 Yeah, there you go. No problem. Thank you for always coming in to check my work. Yes. There you go. Have a good night. Yes. And it's unfortunate that we believe So this futurist mindset has led us to abdicate, as Christians, abdicate our responsibility in the public square, because we believe that, good night, we believe that it's somehow okay to watch the world go to hell in a handbasket, because that's what the dispensational model of eschatology teaches. Well, the world's going to get worse before it gets better. Everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. So we don't really need to fight too hard, because make no mistake about it, what you believe will determine how you act. And if you believe that things are going to ultimately get worse before they get better, then there is no reason for you to continue to improve culture, to have children. There are people who really believe that Jesus's return is so imminent that they're foregoing buying homes, foregoing getting married, foregoing having children. This is wicked theology that is doing nothing to help us and is harming the body of Christ, making us docile and inept. I'm studying it right now. I'm doing a lot. I'm listening to people, because I was a partial preterist for the longest time, but I'm listening to full preterists and waiting for partial preterists to actually respond to them and see if they have any arguments. Because I'm listening to the full preterists and they're examining scripture using the analogy of faith and interpreting scripture with scripture, trying to understand the Tanakh and the allusions and the birth pangs and what birth pangs are, like all of these things. They're trying to go to the Old Testament and understand the New, back and forth, to see what allusions are being made, what places are being pulled from the Old Testament into the New. And the full preterist arguments are making sense to me. So I want to see if I've already was a partial preterist, but I want to see if the partial preterists will partial preterists will actually deal with the full preterists, or will they continue to just gaslight and call them heretics, and saying that they don't agree with the creeds and confessions. I'm like, if the creeds and confessions are wrong, then they're wrong. Protestants had no problem disagreeing with the confessions and creeds of the Roman Catholic Church since the 1500s. Why do we now have to, if you're a Protestant, and I've grown up as a Protestant, why do we now have to be held to the creeds and confessions of the 15, 16, 1700s? Why can't we allow scripture to interpret scripture? Why, if we figure out that we've been wrong, here's a perfect example. The Protestants believe that the Roman Catholic Church erred somewhere before 1500. Okay. But they don't believe, obviously, that, that they got everything wrong, but they believe that they got some things wrong, right? Indulgences, et cetera, et cetera. But they were willing to say, that's not right. We're going to go to the Bible and make sure that we got this right. That was 1500 years after Christ ascended. You're telling me 500 years later, we can't do that again? We can't do that again? We can't go to the scriptures and say, hey, you know what? We misinterpreted some of the parts of the creed, because the creeds are not divinely inspired. So maybe it's okay. Now, maybe it's okay if we go back and study and not call people heretics who are trying to make sure we got it right. Isn't that the spirit of Protestantism? But here's the problem. once people get entrenched into their camps, those silos become their money maker, their social status, and they don't want to give that up. Takes brave men like Gary DeMar, who's being castigated, to ask questions. Don Preston, Michael Sullivan, I forget the guy's name, William. Yeah. So these men are willing, they've risked it all. Some of them risked association, some of them risked jobs, and they're asking questions. And they're trying to interpret scripture with scripture. And those are the type of men that I respect. The men who will not, in good faith, debate them, those are the men who I'm gradually losing respect for. And so the question is, how much of revelation is still to come? At this point, I'm leaning towards it's all fulfilled. I've been a partial preterist for a while. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, well, if it's fulfilled, it's fulfilled. Who am I to say, yeah. I don't know. Who am I to say? Yeah. Who am I to say that it's not fulfilled? If the finished work of Jesus, if Jesus finished his job in 70 AD and is currently ruling and reigning, let's go conquer the world with through the preaching of the gospel and the living out of the principles of God's word in every sphere of life. Let's do that. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Right? So, yeah. All right. So that was that question. Any other questions? I might be heading out soon. We got 215 new subscribers on this live. Appreciate you all. Numbers have gone down because they got a little bit less spicy when we weren't talking about. We started talking about theology, which always gets people. To exit the chat. Yeah. All right. Any other topics? I know I have a bunch of stuff in my backlog. That's one of the problems with not being able to do daily episodes. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. I'm doing well. All right. Yeah. Saffron Sniper even says that Britain is losing its identity. Yeah, it's interesting that so many people want to, like, America is supposed to be, liberals really want to talk about how horrible America is, but they want so many people to come here to seek asylum. Why would you want people to come to this horrible, racist hellhole? If that's what you believe that it is, why would you want them to come here? And why are they fighting to get here, to this horrible, racist hellhole, if that's what it is? So I don't understand that. Yeah. And I get Maranatha. I mean, unfortunately, denominations are just a function of human nature to a certain degree. I don't identify with any denomination. I'm a Christian, and I can attend. I have attended churches from various different denominations. Of various denominations, right? So I have attended Southern Baptist churches, Presbyterian churches. We've attended Roman Catholic churches, Lutheran? No Lutheran. Missionary Baptist churches. Yeah. Non-denominational. Yeah. I look at it this way. I have my own. You're Lutheran? There you go. See? I haven't attended a Lutheran church. That's all I'm saying. I have my own private interpretations, but I don't. So let's say that the church that we attended for the last 5 years was Southern Baptist, right? I didn't agree with their church government structure, their worship choices and styles. And the crazy thing was, for a year and a half, I was actually the worship leader, playing music that I didn't like and I didn't find to be God honoring, right? But they needed somebody, and my family is intensely musically talented, and we did it as a sign of service to that body. Now, we won't go into the particulars of why we aren't doing it anymore, but I disagree with the practice. I disagree with the church government. I disagree with the discipline structure. I disagree with the leadership structure. I have my own private interpretations, but I didn't make a stink about it. My eschatological view was different from the pastor, from every teacher who taught eschatology. It's not my job to turn every church into my image. Now, there's some deal breakers for us, and we just didn't participate in the deal breakers, right? They believe in children's church and youth group. We don't. So we just didn't participate in it. And people will always say, your children are the best behaved children in here. They're the most talented. They're the most this. They're the most this. They're the most that. And they were asking us how we did it. And I'm like, you really don't want to know. I would tell people that. They would ask us, you know, some people took us out to dinner and asked us, we noticed that y'all are different. We want to ask y'all what y'all are doing. My wife and I. And we're like, you really don't want to know, because the level of sacrifice that my wife and I are willing to make to do the things that we do when I don't think y'all want this. I just don't think you want this. And then we'll tell them. We told them what we did. And that was the last time they asked about it, because it's intense. And most people want to be entertained. They want to be gluttons. They want to be like social justice warriors. They want to virtue signal without actually having virtue, right? So let's see. Where's that book? Well, there's a book, Classical Christian Virtues by Timothy Durnland. Yeah, I usually keep it in my little stack right here where I can just grab it and bring it up. Is it over here? But where you actually pursue the classical Christian virtues and you make that a primary focus of your home. You read the scriptures every day. You pray every day. You make all of the sacrifices necessary to pour into your children godliness and the things. And it's hard, because what happens is the culture around you is doing the exact opposite. Your children see that children are being praised for being for lack of a better term, I guess, mediocre, just also rans, like doing, and there's nothing really special. Like they're going to get, oh, they graduated. Great. And they got shuffled through the public school system. We're supposed to celebrate them, but they can barely read. Why are we celebrating this? Right? Why are we celebrating that? Why are we celebrating that children are being given over to the idol of sport and the idol, just idol after idol after idol? They're being placed in front of screens. They're not being, just what? They're not being given anything. But we still praise that. We used to praise the exceptional. But your children see that the ordinary is praised now, and they're wondering, well, why are you trying to make us exceptional? Right? Why are you trying to make us exceptional? Why do you want us to buck against the trends? Well, because I have more wisdom than you do, and I know what those kids are going to end up like. They're going to be confused. They're going down the path of, what's going on, Richard? They're going down the path to just be like everybody else. They don't want to buck trends. Their parents don't want to buck trends. They want to do everything like everybody else so that this community can be just like, so you can have fornicators, idolaters, adulterers sitting in the pews, unchecked, unchallenged, but everybody's good with everybody else because nobody really wants to challenge that. What's going on? What you got going on, Richard? You want to come on? You want to come on the podcast and talk to me about some stuff? It's been a while, brother. might have to invite you on. Yeah. So the idea is, well, why my children see that and they're thinking, oh, well, they're being praised and they can't do half the stuff that we can do. So why are we doing this? But so you have to get your children out of that culture into a culture where excellence is the standard. But then you're like, well, where do you go to find that? And so that's the type of church that we're looking to be around, right? And so that's why I say I disagree with so much stuff because we're trying to live a different way. The way that I've read that Christian saints in the past lived, but unfortunately Christian saints in the present just want to go along to get along and not actually have any standards. And we talked about this earlier. Remember, you have to have standards for self, which goes to standards for the family. Then it goes out to standards for the church, and then out to standards for the government, and then, nation, and then the world, right? And so that's where the problem comes in. If we don't have any family standards, then that just rolls up to the point where now we have no governmental standards because the family has been wrecked, right? So, yeah. Anyway, right? But yeah, so that's why when someone asks me what's my denomination, I've attended multiple churches, churches. I have my own personal theological leanings, but I don't try to impose that on any church because if I wanted a church to reflect my image, I'd just start one. But here's the problem with that. It'd be so intense, most people wouldn't want to attend it because it would be based on Christianity from a different time frame, from a different mindset that tries to live out the Christian principles daily. And so I'm just trying to find a church that does that, right? Where we do Christian things, where we do the mundane, where all of these other things are expected, where we're pouring into the lives of other people and making an actual difference, right? So, yeah. And so the denominations are going to exist, I think, unfortunately, until Jesus comes back. But there's really, and I think part of the issue is there are some major differences between what people believe, right? So you have your three main strands of Christianity, Orthodoxy, Roman Catholicism, and Protestantism. And underneath those, you have some variation. You have lots of variation under the Protestant strand. Why? Because Protestantism gave men the freedom to interpret the Bible outside of the confines of a structure like the Roman Catholic Church or the Orthodox Church. And so you're going to have a lot of people who just think, well, I'm right and they're wrong, so I'm going to make my own church, right? And so you started to have the splinters between Luther and Calvin and Zwingli and all of these other people. And then now you've gotten to the point where essentially you have Kundalini Christianity, right? Like you could, yeah. More people. I have to ask people: do y'all really think that the apostles and prophets were doing what you all are doing in your church today? You think Jesus would be caught doing some of the things that you're doing as a first century Jew? Can you honestly think, with the surrounding religious practices of that time frame, that you can see Jesus doing all of that you're doing in the churches? I don't know. That's why I asked the question. And I'll show you what I mean by some of those things. Yeah. Yeah. I am a 100% believer in that. That's why I go by the caged interpretation system. Context, audience, genre, explanatory, or didactic. Yeah. So that, I believe that you need to figure out the audience. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, but there are a lot of really bad religious practices. Yeah, my Instagram feed is filled with them, right? So, yeah. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to close it out tonight because we're losing steam. I'll come back tomorrow with another episode after church. Most likely. Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Over 200 new subscribers on this live stream. Yes, right? So 92 viewers now, so we'll just hop off and go to bed. Been on for 2 hours. All right. No problem, Georgiana. Thank you. All right. Until next time, y'all know how we do it. Until next time, be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. See y'all around. Bye.